which he says, I would really appreciate it if you could get to the bottom of the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Burisma story for me. By the way, it might make a big difference in terms of some of that aid that the U.S. sends to you.
At the same time that he's holding up much needed aid to prevent the Russians from overrunning the country.
Right. This, of course, becomes the basis for the first congressional impeachment of Donald Trump.
Correct. Trump's first impeachment.
Right.
So in the background, as Trump is kicking up all this stuff about Hunter, a real Justice Department investigation is taking hold. The Justice Department officials in Washington took all the questions about Hunter Biden and they gave them to the Trump-appointed United States Attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, to look into.
And this is 2000...
This is starting in 2018 into 19. So as Trump is trying to get Rudy Giuliani to gallivant the world looking for evidence and is getting impeached for all this stuff, whatever, these federal prosecutors are digging into Hunter Biden's life.
Got it.
So they're starting this examination basically of everything that Hunter Biden has done. All of the deals, all of his foreign interactions, all of his taxes, everything. They're looking at his entire life. And it's not known publicly that this is going on.
It feels like this is the moment where two universes start to diverge. In one universe, like you said, there's an unseen federal investigation going on trying to figure out what is the what with Hunter Biden. And in the other universe, because you say it's 2019, Trump is running for re-election and eventually against Joe Biden. And he's, as you say, kicking up all this stuff, spreading claims.
What you're trying to say, I think, is that, look, there's the political and there's the law enforcement. So politically, Donald Trump is out there saying Joe Biden and his son are corrupt and it's all because of Ukraine. On the other hand, where no one can see, off to the side are these prosecutors who are beginning to look at every aspect of Hunter Biden's life.
Right. And the one we, the public, sees is the Trump one, and it becomes a drumbeat because of it's coming up at major moments in the campaign.
Hunter, you know nothing about energy, you know nothing about China, you know nothing about anything, frankly. Hunter, you're a loser. Why did you get $1.5 billion, Hunter?
This is a major tenet of his stump speeches and interviews and tweets and everything.
What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
It becomes so at the forefront of the campaign that Donald Trump, at one of the debates, raises the question of Hunter's conduct.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr. President, my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
As much as Biden was adamant that there was nothing to what Trump was saying, Trump is essentially seeding the country with notions of Hunter Biden's conduct.
Right, another day, another explosive report surrounding zero experience Hunter Biden.
He's kicking off all these different ideas and theories and conspiracy theories and allegations that are covered widely in the conservative media.
And it's not just about Hunter Biden, it's now about Joe Biden, as he now appears to have put national security at risk so that his family can cash in and make millions. Hunter Biden and his business partners helped rich Chinese investors and members of the Chinese Communist Party obtain meetings with then Vice President Joe Biden.
There's a money laundering case that I could prove in 4 minutes. $14 million involving the Bidens.
As Trump, in the final weeks of the election, is looking for any way to get the upper hand in an election he knows he's losing, something of a gift for him appears.
The evidence is not just there, it's overwhelming.
And that was Hunter Biden's laptop. So, Hunter Biden had struggled mightily with addiction. He hit a low point in 2018 where he was smoking crack with strangers. In the midst of that, he had dropped off his laptop, which he thought he damaged with water, at a repair shop in Delaware. He never went back to pick it up. By the summer of 2020, the height of the 2020 campaign, that laptop is in the hands of Rudy Giuliani. And Trump and Giuliani think that they have the October surprise that will keep Trump in office.
Right. They believe that whatever is on that laptop is the key to unlocking what they have long believed and told their supporters is the true corrupt nature of the relationship between Hunter, Joe Biden, and all the work Hunter's doing. It's going to be there in some email.
And the laptop is not pretty. Its contents are very ugly. Because what it is a lot of photos and messages Hunter Biden took and sent at the height of his addiction.
But does that laptop end up containing anything that shows something we didn't already know about his relationship to his dad and his business?
It doesn't go much further than these major questions that have hung over Hunter Biden's businesses.
But of course, this does not end up being an October surprise that changes the dynamic of this election. Trump loses, now famously doesn't accept that fact, but loses. But there is, if you're Trump and you want this story to not go away, the reality that a federal investigation is still going on in the background.
Yeah, but Trump didn't know that.
He didn't.
In the weeks after the election, Hunter Biden puts out a statement and says, I'm the subject of an IRS tax investigation. And Donald Trump says, what the heck? I didn't know about this. I didn't know about the federal investigation. The Attorney General, Bill Barr, had kept it from Trump. And Trump is furious with Barr for not having publicized it to help him in the lead up to the election. So as Donald Trump is heading off stage, the only hope that he and the right have that Hunter Biden is going to take down Joe Biden is this still ongoing investigation in Delaware. But Trump and the right now have an issue. That investigation will now be overseen by Joe Biden's Justice Department and his hand-picked Attorney General.
We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Anna Martin from the New York Times, and I'm here to tell you about something for New York Times News subscribers. And honestly, if you're a podcast fan, you're going to love this. It's an app called New York Times Audio, where you can get the latest dispatch.
It's 10 a.m. in Kyiv. It was a really loud night.
Perfect your technique.
A splash of soy sauce, and then a lot of red pepper flakes.
Contemplate the future.
A computer program is passing the bar exam, and we're over here pretending not to be amazed by that.
It has exclusive shows. From the New York Times, it's The Headlines. Storytelling from Serial Productions and This American Life.
Two, a fiasco involving a village, marauding Visigoths, and some oil.
Sports from The Athletic.
In those big moments, he puts the team on his back.
And narrated articles from The Times and beyond.
In recent years, unexpected sounds of ice have periodically gone viral.
New York Times Audio. Download it now at nytimes.com/audio app.
So, Mike, what happens once this federal investigation leaves the Trump administration and is inherited by President Biden's Justice Department?
So, for Biden, he knows, it's clear as day, that if he tries to meddle in this at all, he's going to get crushed for it. So, he is going to go to great pains to ensure that he has no influence or the appearance of that influence over the investigation.
And what does that look like? The great pains that Biden and his administration go to preserve the independence of the Hunter Biden investigation.
So, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, without consulting Joe Biden, keeps on that prosecutor in Delaware, David Weiss, who was appointed by Trump.
Right, which is a little unusual. As I understand it, new presidents of different parties come in, they often replace all the U.S. attorneys. They kept this guy on.
they keep this guy on because he is going to finish the Hunter Biden investigation.
Got it.
And they thought this was the best way to insulate that investigation from the appearance of politics.
And so what does this U.S. attorney from Delaware, what does he ultimately find? And what do we end up learning about how much investigating he's actually been doing? Because as you said, this is all going on in the background.
So Weiss turns over every rock, or pretty much every rock, in Hunter Biden's life, particularly from this period of time when he was addicted to drugs and was engaging in these risky, unusual dealings with foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
And while the accusations and the things that Trump said were grandiose, remember, this was the investigation that was going to expose the Biden family as criminally corrupt.
Right.
This investigation by Weiss that looks at all these different things ends up narrowing to questions of Hunter Biden's taxes and this purchase of a gun that he made in 2018.
And Mike, what's our understanding of why the investigation narrows so dramatically? Why, after turning over every rock, looking at every deal, whether it was the Burisma deal or deals like that, that Weiss turns to what kind of feels like pretty pedestrian criminal issues?
So if you accept Weiss's investigation at face value, it's that he looked at all these things, and while they may raise these good old-fashioned government questions of appearance of impropriety or why is this elected official's son doing these deals, there's no criminality there.
Right. Can be ugly and still be legal.
Correct. But because he's turned over the rocks in Hunter Biden's life from a particularly rocky period of time,
right,
he finds some stuff that isn't kosher.
Right, the tax issue, the gun issue. And like, I wonder, how do prosecutors normally think about crimes or alleged crimes like those?
So legal experts will give you all sorts of opinions, but my reporting on this shows that these crimes are usually not charged.
Why not?
Because they're too small. They're too small bore. They're typically dealt with through a civil fine. But Weiss finds himself in a situation where he has found criminality that the president's son has engaged in.
Mm-hmm.
So is it the best thing for justice to avert your gaze of that criminality? What does that say?
So this is an interesting case where, because the investigation has gone on for so long and has dug around in so many corners, it's pretty hard to not charge Hunter Biden with anything, politically speaking, even when the things he can be charged with might not normally merit federal prosecutorial charges.
Correct.
That's the weird position that Weiss is in. And I guess the weird position that Hunter Biden gets in. This is kind of a strange case where Hunter Biden's name and the position he's in are not helping him the way perhaps they did with this deal with Burisma, but are hurting him when it comes to being charged with crimes that might be, as you say, kind of small.
Correct.
But of course, Mike, Republicans obviously don't see it this way. This case has turned out for them to be a major, major disappointment given their expectations for how it would turn out and the way they've talked about it.
Because they've been gnawing on this Hunter Biden bone for many years now. And now they're being told that Hunter Biden is going to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and have a diversion agreement on the purchase of a weapon.
Right, and being told that by a Republican-appointed U.S. attorney, no less.
So the fix must have been it.
In Republicans' minds. Right. So how are they approaching this case now that, you know, in the minds of the Justice Department, it's kind of over?
So Republicans had wrestled back control of the House earlier this year. That has allowed them investigative power and the ability to promote what they want to promote and raise what they want to raise.
I want to welcome everyone here today.
In the course of that, they've focus themselves back on Hunter Biden.
Today we have two brave, incredible Irish whistleblowers who have risked their careers to come forward and provide important testimony.
And they've done that with the help of IRS investigators who were originally working on this case.
IRS investigators who got drawn into it because of the allegations that Hunter Biden didn't pay his taxes.
Correct.
My name is Gary Shapley. I've worked as a special agent for IRS criminal investigation for 14 years. Based on my experience, I'm here to tell you that the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office and Department of Justice handling the Hunter Biden tax investigation was very different from any other case in my 14 years at the IRS.
Two IRS investigators, supported by House Republicans, have come forward claiming they are whistleblowers and that there was political interference. So they've opened up a whole new chapter in the Hunter Biden saga by accusing the Justice Department, under both Attorney General Barr when Trump was president and Attorney General Merrick Garland when Biden came in, of treating Hunter Biden differently because he was the son of a former vice president and a president.
In April 2022, in a hearing, Attorney General Garland was asked how the American people could be confident the administration was conducting a serious investigation into the president's own son. Attorney General Garland responded by saying, because we put the investigation in the hands of a Trump appointee. He led Congress to believe the case was insulated from improper political influence because all decisions were being made exclusively by Delaware United States Attorney David Weiss, but that was not true.
Their most salacious allegation is that Weiss, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, did not really have the full authority to bring whatever charges he wanted.
I watched United States Attorney Weiss tell a room full of senior FBI and IRS senior leaders on October 7, 2022, that he was not the deciding person on whether charges were filed. That was my red line.
That the notion that when Attorney General Garland said Weiss has the ability to do what he wants with this investigation, that wasn't true.
Today's episode is sponsored by Apollo Global Management.
Good morning. Welcome to Axios Today. It's Wednesday, July 26th. I'm Nyla Bridge. Today on the show, the rise of therapy speed. Plus, UPS and its workers reach a deal. But first, how courts are driving U.S. immigration policy. That's today's one big thing. Earlier this week, the Justice Department filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas for putting up barriers in the Rio Grande River to stop migrants from swimming in lakes. And just yesterday, a California judge struck down the Biden administration's temporary restriction on migrants seeking asylum. Both of these instances cited violation of federal laws, but the federal government's immigration policy and migrants' access to protections are often in the whim of U.S. courts. Immigration reporter Hey Nyla, can you just catch us up on the situation with migrants right now at the southern border?
So over the past couple months, the number of migrants and asylum seekers illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border has actually declined pretty significantly. And this is way different than what a lot of experts were expecting after the end of the pandemic policy in Title 42, which ended back in May. In June, we had less than 100,000 people illegally cross the border, which is the first time we were under 100,000 since 2021.
Why did the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, put up barriers in the Rio Grande River?
Obviously, Greg Abbott does not think that President Biden is doing enough at the border, that he's still letting in too many migrants, too many asylum seekers, and so Abbott has kind of taken it into his own hands. They've been increasingly using barbed wire along the border. There's been reporting that state police have been yelling at migrants to turn around. And we've seen more and more reports of them taking these aggressive strategies to try to keep migrants and asylum seekers back.
So on what grounds is the Justice Department filing a lawsuit against the state of Texas because of this?
So the Biden administration is really focusing on the fact that, this is in territory that could move into international waters. Mexico has been very upset with the fact that the barrier has been placed in the Rio Grande. And so the Biden administration really has focused on that particular move.
And in California, a judge actually struck down the Biden administration's temporary restriction on migrants seeking asylum. What were the restrictions for?
Essentially, how this rule works is if a migrant illegally crosses the border and hasn't first applied for protection in one of the countries they traveled through to get to the U.S., they are automatically rejected from asylum. Democrats and immigration advocates have said that this looks like a Trump policy, and now the court is saying, yeah, you actually can't block people from accessing asylum because of these reasons.
And so what does that tell you about how courts are playing right now on immigration policy?
The fact that we're seeing courts weigh in so frequently just shows how difficult it is to navigate the fact that our U.S. laws, when it comes to immigration, are extremely outdated. Congress hasn't gotten together and created new laws that adjust to the fact that we have new kinds of immigration, new kinds of demographics. And so administrations don't have many options, and when they do decide to move forward, we're seeing increasingly courts are going to weigh in.
Steph Kite is a politics reporter at Axios covering immigration. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Nyla.
A few headlines will follow. President Biden signed a proclamation yesterday to create a new national monument for Emmett Till and his mother, Mabel Till. Till was tortured and murdered by white supremacists in Mississippi in 1955 when he was just 14. His mother's insistence on an open casket at his funeral helped support the civil rights movement. The monument will be in 3 different locations: a church in Chicago where the funeral was held, and at 2 additional sites in Mississippi. UPS reached a tentative deal with its Teamsters union yesterday, avoiding a much-feared strike from the union's 300
The energy transition is here, and Apollo is working with businesses to drive innovation and job creation for a more sustainable future. Apollo, investing in tomorrow today. Learn more at apollo.com.
Professor at the University of Southern California.
There's a real hunger for people to gain more insight into their own mental health and more tools that they can use in their relationships or in their daily life. So you have this need or this craving for insight into mental health without necessarily having means and ways to
Social media has entered the scene with mental health advice with terms frequently used in a therapy context, like boundaries or triggering, and that's showing up more and more in our daily speech.
So this sort of whole lingo with words like toxic has kind of just seeped into our popular consciousness.
To dig deeper into this idea of so-called therapy speak and the effect of social media as a place for mental health advice, therapist and author Isra Nasser is here with me. Hey Isra, can you explain what you think this term therapy speak means?
So therapy speak is any concept from psychology, human behavior, and development that is meant to be used in a clinical environment for therapists or mental health provider that is now being used in day-to-day conversations. So it's been taken out of the context and being put into personal relationships and sometimes can lose its true meaning.
Right, and so as we're seeing these words and these concepts being used in almost everyday language on Instagram, TikTok, any social media site, what do you think are the effects of hearing those words inside of a professional psychological setting?
The positive is that it has given language to a lot of vague, nebulous behavior and emotions. So one part of therapy speak as a benefit is that it's improved emotional awareness. So it's given people this language to describe what's going on. But on the flip side, people are misusing it because sometimes these concepts are a little more complex and nuanced. And so they're being used inappropriately and they are causing miscommunication. And sometimes they are being weaponized. Like narcissism, it's used so commonly. But it's such a complex personality disorder that when it's used in day-to-day, I always wonder, like, how much does this person really know about the person they're labeling?
You use social media to educate people about mental wellness. How often are you encountering other accounts online giving mental health advice, but not professional?
I would say there's a lot out there where people are not mental health professionals or even healthcare professionals who are providing a lot of emotional wellness, mental health content, and they are using this language so that it gives them legitimacy in their videos on social media. I've seen a lot of non-clinicians call themselves trauma-informed, but to be trauma-informed, you have to be trained in treating trauma, and they have no background whatsoever. That is a one-way therapy speak has been weaponized. People are monetizing it, they're creating entire brands and businesses out of it, but I think that can have a lot of harm.
What's your advice then for navigating through social media sites and finding good sources of information about this?
What I personally do is if I come across a site or an account, I always look at the person by their name. I try to read any reviews on their practice, see if they've been in any media outlet for anything. You just want to do your due diligence. Take 5 minutes out, do a quick scan, see what people are saying about them, see how they respond to people in comments, and then make your decision based on that.
How do you think people should be using therapy speak? Should they be using it at all?
I think for some of the less complex things, I think it's okay to say, hey, I'm feeling emotionally overwhelmed, right? If you are labeling other people or you're using diagnostic language, then I feel like that is not appropriate. inappropriate. So if you're using it to describe yourself and you have an understanding of yourself, then that's okay. But saying you are a narcissist who is gaslighting me can be contested, right? Because it's subjective. So maybe avoid that.
Isra Nasser is a therapist, author of the soon-to-be-released book, Toxic Productivity, and founder of Well.I, a digital mental wellness brand. Thanks, Isra.
Thank you.
One last note before we go. We're running a listener survey to get to know you better and keep improving Axios today, and we'd love your feedback. Plus, you'll be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. You can find the link to the survey in our show notes. Thanks so much. That's it for us today. I'm Nyla Boodoo. Thanks also for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
The energy transition is here. That's why Apollo is helping businesses to drive innovation and job creation for a more sustainable future, financing solutions to some of the most complex challenges the world is facing. Apollo, investing in tomorrow today. Learn more at apollo.com.
WSJ Special Access gives you a front row seat to some of the Wall Street Journal's most exciting content, including exclusive live events and interviews with top executives and newsmakers, only for subscribers and only on Spotify.